If human history was a civ game, the Roman Empire would have achieved a cultural victory. Let's get to know the history of Rome and what events led to the defeat of us all. The Roman civilization that we would know as one of the most powerful empires in history started out as a tiny city-state in the Italian peninsula. They chose monarchy as their government, and in some strange but totally true series of facts, Rome was founded, with Romulus being their first king. Their first turns were peaceful, looking forward to expanding their sphere of influence and building up the infrastructure of their first cities through a series of kings, until around the 100th turn, where the monarchy collapsed. The aristocracy wanted to avoid the concentration of power, so they installed an oligarchical republic, a political system in which the wealthiest and most powerful families governed the country through the Senate. With no kings, the head of state in the Roman Republic was the consul. But it wasn't one, they had two consuls. Two of the most prestigious public offices of the state were chosen to co-rule the country, so none of them would have all the power for himself. And here's where they began to think about winning the game. They changed cards, and at the beginning, they clearly had a different victory condition in mind. Remember that kinda peaceful thing? Well, it got worse. Rome was the most important state within the Latin League, a series of cities that shared the language and culture and formed a league to cooperate and protect each other in case of foreign invasion. Rome had always been the most important member of the league, sharing loot for military conquests and working together against foreign invasions until the 4th century BCE. See, year after year, the consuls had one goal: to become a legend. And how could they achieve that? By carrying out outstanding military victories. The Roman Republic had it clear. They aimed for a domination victory. The Roman Republic aggressively expanded, conquering other Latin peoples and incorporating them into the Republic, often with resistance and revolt. By the year 264 BC, and after having fought several wars and building up diplomatic alliances, the Roman Republic controlled all of the Italian peninsula. This ambition went even further as Rome had its eyes on Greece. King Philip V of Macedon had invaded Rome at the time of the Second Punic War with Carthage. This enraged the Romans and, as some other YouTuber guy would say, punished them severely in a series of wars against the fragmented Greek kingdoms that concluded in 148 BCE with the annexation of Macedon as a Roman province. Of course, these two conflicts are way more complex and could have their own purely historical video. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see less focused historical videos in the channel. Now, there's a twist about the Roman victory, so make sure to watch until the end of the video. The Roman and the Greek colonies of the south had already had some kind of contact before. With the conquest of Magna Graecia, something changed in Roman mind. They got to know the Greek culture much better. Greek philosophy, architecture, religion, and art began to flourish in Rome, especially among the most powerful citizens of the Republic. Greek culture became influential over Rome, but the Romans had their own iconic culture too, with their wonderful architecture that gave rise to colosseums and their unique district, the Bar. Apart from their architecture, they also claimed a couple of great writers such as Cicero, Virgil, Livy, and Seneca. After the Greek and Punic Wars, the Roman Republic continued expanding and actually got close to a domination victory, even closer if we only took into account the capital cities of the civs they knew at the time, until it became an empire in a totally peaceful and republican way. At its peak, the Roman Empire stretched across more than 5 million square kilometers, from Portugal in the west to modern Kuwait and the Persian Gulf in the east, as well as the northern shore of Africa. This impressive extension brought Roman culture all across the Mediterranean Sea, and therefore tourists. But we have another key chapter in the cultural victory of Rome: Byzantium. The Byzantine Empire emerged as the Eastern Roman Empire after the western side of the Roman Empire collapsed in 476. Due to the barbarians. A bit late in the game, right? But well, Hammurabi was in it. Byzantium joined the game with a very strong Roman heritage. Not only that, but as Greece was a part of the Byzantine Empire too, that cultural exchange and influence kept going on across the centuries, with one big and key difference: Christianity. Byzantium adopted as their official religion, having a great cultural impact on the empire too. The Roman Empire kept existing in the Byzantine Empire to some extent, influencing the culture and the languages across Western Europe and the former European colonies, which gave rise to the huge Roman legacy we nowadays see. When it comes to education, the basic subjects of the modern educational system can be traced to the Roman Republic, and even before to the Greek city-states. We can see the Roman influence in the field of law too, with several concepts still being Latin. The Roman Senate and the political institutions of the Roman Republic have laid the foundation of the republican system we know today, often finding Latin text and symbols in present-day republic. But the biggest influence Rome has had over us all, that granting them their victory, are the Romans' languages. French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian and Romanian had their common roots in Rome and in the Latin language as a whole. Latin has also made its way into Germanic languages, with English being heavily influenced when French was introduced by the military victories of William the Conqueror from Normandy. Even Russian and German have words derived from Latin. Because of all of the Greek influence in Roman culture, we can even twist a bit the Roman victory and think about a team victory together with Greece. This would be what's called the Greco-Roman world, the result of the blending of these two cultures. Tourists from all over the world would have visited the Roman Empire. But here's the other twist. Not from all over the world. The Romans had little to no influence over Asia and the Eastern world. They had signed some treaties with the Chinese, but their culture was very strong against Roman tourism, mainly because of wonders. So as this civ game had so many players, much more than the 8 on the 10 of a normal Continents game, being influenced over almost all of the civs could be enough for winning it. What do you think? Either way, the Roman civilization won the game at the dawn of the modern languages and borders in the last years of the Byzantine Empire, and with time, their culture became dominant almost all over the world. We can say their accomplishments have lasted for ages, and Rome is definitely remembered. We've been playing just one more turn for centuries. Thanks for watching.